What's up, guys? Dan here, and today I'm joined by Tyler Shirk of Airbnb management and renovations. He is an awesome guy here in the Kansas City area. He manages over 100 properties, I believe, on Airbnb in I think 10 plus different cities, correct?
Yeah.
But he has been in the business for a long time. How many years have you been in business?
I've been doing real estate investing in Kansas City for 6 years now.
6 years.
Been managing Airbnbs for 5.
Yeah, he's one of the largest, if not the largest, Airbnb operator in the Kansas City area. Very well known, very well renowned, and we're going to be talking to him about all things Airbnb and his business and kind of his story. So with that, let's get right into the interview. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm pumped. I'm excited to do this.
Absolutely. No, it's really cool after seeing you at when you first showed up to my real estate event when I first met you. I was like, man, is he in the right spot? Because you look pretty cool.
Dude, I was so nervous, man. I've spoke at a lot of different things before. I've done that a million times, but for some reason that room had me shook. I don't know what it was, but like I could tell I was up there just kind of like it was a good time for sure.
No, it was good. You shared a lot of value too. I mean, it was a good event. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's crazy. The first time we met, you're talking at the event, so
right. Yeah.
But that's what the power of the connection. So how did you get into real estate investing, and then on the back end, what transitioned into the Airbnb management side?
Right. So I mean, I like this story. It's my story, so I think that it's pretty cool. But I had a little bit different of a upbringing. I grew up in a not so great situation. I dropped out of high school, went down the wrong path, and then when I decided to get my life together, I went to college, and I always wanted to flip houses. So I had this bright idea that I'd go get a degree, and then I'd walk into a bank with my degree and say, "Hey, give me a loan to flip houses," and they'd give me a loan to flip houses. Didn't work out that way though, right?
Sure.
So I did get my degree. I got my degree from Missouri State University in administrative management. That's where all the bear stuff comes from, because the mascot's a brown bear down there. So that's why all my companies are bear related, right?
Oh, okay.
So I got my degree, and then I started, I got hired as a store manager at Target. But I'm an entrepreneur. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. It wasn't for me. It was just kind of something to do until I could figure it out. So then, and this is why I really enjoy connecting and networking and all the stuff you're doing. I think it's going to work out great for you, because I got into the Bridge Real Estate Investing Group.
Right.
And I asked, I wanted to learn how to do real estate investing, and I asked for some advice, and I'll never forget a guy by the name of Kevin Fauntleroy. You don't see his name much. He doesn't talk about it, but he's a pretty good investor. He knows what he's doing. So he messaged me, and he gave me a bunch of insight, and he was like, "Hey, I'll help you out. I'll teach you everything you want to know." He taught me about wholesaling, and I started off as a wholesaler. So I did a couple wholesale deals. I did 2 wholesale deals. Wasn't really my thing. It's not for me. I don't like calling people constantly every single day, but I understand it, and I'm glad that I did it because I know how it works. But I wholesaled a couple houses, and then check this out. You'll like this.
All right.
On the Bridge Group, somebody said, "Hey, I need somebody to come demo out these apartments they burned up. Harvard Court Apartments on 70 Highway, across the street from the Blue Ridge, or across the street from the Walmart there, right? You see it right from the highway. It was about 60 units that burned up, and somebody tagged me and said, Tyler Shirk can do that. I'd never heard of it.
No reason.
No clue. I was like, yeah, I'm the type of guy that'll, somebody gives me an opportunity, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to do it. So I said, yeah, absolutely. I can demo those out. No problem. So I ended up getting the job because I underbid it by like $100,000, because I had no idea what I was supposed to bid it at. Right. So like, it was supposed to be like a $250,000 demo. We're talking 60 apartments, like down to studs. I did it for like $75,000.
Oh my gosh.
It was ridiculous, but it got me into the industry. It got me into what I was needing to do. So all I did was I got on Craigslist and Facebook, and I put out an ad. Hey, I need day laborers to come tear out walls and haul stuff to a dumpster all day. So day one took about 40 days to do the whole project. Day one, about 75 people showed up. 1099 them all. 1099 them, put them to work, start doing it, right? Yeah. So we started doing it, and as the process went on, we whittled down the amount of people we had. A lot of people left on their own. Some people we had to let go because of various different reasons. But by the end of it, we had a solid 5 or 6 people that we could build something with. So that was when I was like, all right, well, we're going to start doing demo and clean outs for investors. So we took that, we created that company to start doing demos and cleanouts for investors. I met a bunch of investors along the way there, made some good connections. I have a mentor by the name, I don't know if you know him, but Joe Williams. He's a really
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He's a really big investor, but he's another one of those like old school, quiet, behind the scenes guys. You'll never see him on Facebook or any of that. But I met him. He kind of took me under his wing, mentored me a whole bunch, taught me about real estate investing and wholesaling and all of that. I worked for him for a long time. I still work for him here and there, but we're more friends and mentors now. I'm actually going to his shop for the Super Bowl tomorrow, so that'll be exciting. But anyways, as we started doing demos and cleanouts, my investor clients started saying, hey, can you guys do painting and touch up and handyman stuff? So we started developing that skill set, started hiring people that could do that. And then eventually we just started full on remodeling houses for investors.
Okay.
So from then until now, I've remodeled or been a part of, I would say about 125 flips for investors throughout Kansas City. So that brings us to Airbnb. Okay. So that company is Brown Bear Property Solutions. That's my remodel and maintenance and handyman company. So then a couple of my investors, Joe Williams being one of them, and then Megan Duma, who's another great lady to know. She really knows her stuff. She's a lawyer, she's a GC, she's a broker, all kinds of different things.
Right.
We had a good relationship because as you know, in this community, your help really determines how successful you're going to be. If your contractors are doing what they say they're going to do, if they're showing up on time, if they're doing it's difficult finding good contractors.
Oh yeah.
So we developed a relationship because she liked how, my company took care of her. And she said, hey, I have about 9 Airbnbs. Do you want to manage them for me? And I said, again, just like with that demo job, I was like, hell yeah, I'll manage those Airbnbs. I knew what an Airbnb was. I had stayed in an Airbnb before, but I didn't have the first idea how to manage them. But luckily for me, because just like with everything else, networking and then building the right connections will really take you to where you want to be. Megan taught me for 2 years how to manage Airbnbs. We had a good relationship. I had a loan out on a work truck that I had, a F-250, and I owed like $10,000 on it. And I needed to get that paid off. So she actually lent me the money to pay it off. And then I basically managed for her for 2 years for free.
Okay.
And then during that time period, she taught me anything and everything that I could ever need to know about managing short-term rentals. Taught me the right way to do it, how to handle any and every situation that there could ever be. And just really I could probably manage Airbnbs now, but I don't think that I would be as far ahead of the game as I am if I didn't have that experience. So if I can give anybody that's new to this space or any space, any kind of advice, don't come into it expecting to just, make a bunch of money in the beginning. You have to put your dues in and you have to provide value to the people that are where you want to be and let them teach you how to get to that place. So I started managing Airbnbs for her. And then Joe Williams got a couple Airbnbs and I started managing his, and I was up to like 20 something between the two of them. And Joe kept telling me, he said, you need to make this a business, because it was a side hustle for me.
Right.
My main thing was remodeling the houses and doing wholesaling and flipping houses. And Joe said, you have a talent, you have a skill, you know how to do this. Nobody else in Kansas City knows how to do this as well as you do, because it's newer to Kansas City, right?
Right.
He said, make it a business. And I kind of went back and forth for a long time. And then finally, about 2 years ago, I made it a business, and I called it Airbnb because everything's a bear in my company. And Airbnb and Airbnb, kind of goes together, right? Yeah. So we made it a business. And then as soon as we made it a business, and again, this is learning lessons and growing through your business. I always try to tell everybody that I talk to that come to me for advice, you're going to have problems and you're going to learn stuff. I was only charging $450 a month for management because Megan, when she taught me, we just had a set rate, because all I was doing was answering her messages. I wasn't doing all the other stuff. I wasn't doing the algorithms and the customer service, all of that. I was just answering messages so she could focus on what she wanted to do. So when I started my business, I was like, yeah, we're $450 a month. I had no idea. So I was able to grow really fast by only charging the $450 a month. So I went from
customer acquisition. That's cheap.
Yeah, I went from like 20 something units to like 90 in 6 months. It just boom, like that. And during that time, like everybody had started getting into Airbnbs in Kansas City as well. So it was like the perfect storm. I was the cheapest guy in town. I knew how to manage Airbnbs. I think that I do better than everybody else. I don't know, but I know how to manage Airbnbs very well. I was the cheapest guy in town, and everybody knew me, and everybody was getting in Airbnbs. So it went from 20 something to 90 something. We're at 111 now. But as we grew, and as I had to add staff and add this software and that software and that software, we ended up changing our price point to 20%, which is the industry standard, what most other short-term rental managers charge. And I certainly understand why. And I know now, I know those numbers a lot better now, but I have lost some clients because of it. There are some people that are not happy with it because we did raise our prices, but you can't manage short-term rentals and do it effectively for cut rate prices. The potential for what Airbnbs can make definitely is worth what it costs to run them, but you have to be willing to put that into them.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, just to even pay for your operations and stuff like that, it just takes a certain level of income.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at a guy offered me a small property management company yesterday to buy it. And I was like, he's only grossing like $4,500 a month gross. And I'm like, oh, man, you can't even you hire one person and you're making no money.
It's tough, especially with the industry that we're in, because, I'm an investor too. I totally get it. Like the name of the game is save money, cut corner, do whatever we can to have our margins be right. But that's kind of an antidote I always tell everybody. Megan and Joe were just the absolute best clients in the world because they know what they're doing. They know how much it costs. They know how business works. They had the money. They didn't really give me any crap, right? Like that's what I'm trying to say. And if I would have known that, like, once I started managing for other people, that they weren't all like Megan and Joe, I would have probably took it a little different way. So it bothers me because we really care about our business and we really care about the product we put out. We really care about our clients, but man, it's tough sometimes. We're always the bad guy. We're always the, hey, you got a leak in your bathroom, needs to be fixed. Well, God dang it. Why this? I don't know. I didn't cause the leak. I'm just telling you about it, but it is what it is. I love doing it though. I love managing short-term rentals because just like with anything else, I'm sure that you can attest to this, but when you're good at something, it's not really a job. It's kind of fun to do. Oh, exactly. I love the game. I love doing this stuff every day. I mean, sometimes it's challenging but it's very rewarding. It's very satisfying. So yeah. And I mean, Airbnb is definitely one of them things. Like, I mean, I started an Airbnb in November, so just a couple months ago, and I did okay. I mean, it's the dead season or the slower season for sure, but actually was able to transition it into a midterm rental in January. So I got like a group of guys month to month that are paying, a very high premium for like a furnished rental, but maybe not as much income as an Airbnb. But for me, the stability of it is a lot better. And I don't think that the neighborhood I'm in is it's not like prime Airbnb location. I don't think. Right. That's one of the things that a lot of people fall into. I'll give you some free advice. November, December, January, as you're aware, or actually January, February, March are the slowest seasons in Kansas City. Okay. November and December actually do fairly well because of the holidays and people are traveling. But I'll try to not make this long-winded, but there's a lot that goes into it. Sure. With Airbnb, you're not going to see like your actual real returns, what it can make, until you've been live for at least a year. That's for several different reasons. The first reason is you want to get to Superhost. Once you get to the Superhost status, you're going to be higher in the algorithm. That'll get you more bookings. And then with Airbnb, the more money you make them, the more they push you out there. So they're taking their best products and pushing those products out to their clients, or to their guests. So kind of what I always tell everybody is give it a year. Either if you're managing it yourself or if you have a manager, just really nail it down, focus on it. Go in, change your description every day, reorder your photos every day, change a couple things. You have to really put the time and effort into it for that first year, get you to Superhost. And then once you've started making Airbnb money and they're seeing that you have a lot of interest in your unit, you're going to go higher in that algorithm. What happened was, unfortunately, it sounds like it might have happened to you. A lot of people got in towards the end of the busy season, and then they're like, man, what the heck? This sucks. So then they, like you said, they want the stability, which 100% all day long, the stability. But what I try to educate people on is I try to tell people, don't let that slow couple months affect your high earning potential that you can get in the busy season. Because just like you, like when that busy season's almost over, that's when they've been getting killed for 3 months. So they decide to, go with a different route, and then they miss out on the busy season where they would have made all that money. So it's kind of, it's a catch-22, right? But again, everybody's got different strategies. If having that constant, steady, pretty good price works for you, absolutely. But if a lot of like my best clients are clients that they want to take that risk, and then that risk affords them the opportunities to maybe make 7, 8, 9K a month for 4 or 5 months out of the year.
No, for sure. I think it's a great thing. I mean, I'm all for it. Like, and I'm all for, I think what happened with me is that I actually, like in December, I started it maybe like first week of November. And I would say I was probably booked maybe half the month, even right off the bat. I mean, I took some, professional pictures. I got the unit totally remodeled. It was probably one of the best products in Smithville, in the town that I was in.
Yeah.
So I spent 15,000 on a remodel and really made it a nice unit, got really nice furniture and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what I realized is like actually in December it was pretty much fully booked. I think we had like a couple days that were vacant, which is really good. And I wasn't charging very much relative to just so I could get some traction.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what I realized is that like, I thought I was like, oh, I'll manage it myself. I'll save some money. I don't want to give it all to the manager because I want to try to recoup some of this capital investment that I've put into it.
Yeah.
And that's Airbnb's not my main thing. Like I'm a flipper, I'm a wholesaler, do most of the time, right? And so like I'm just like, wow, like if I'm gonna do this Airbnb, like it's a job. I mean, you're running a hotel,
It's
like
I always call it a decentralized hotel. 100%.
It's exactly what it is. I mean, you've got inquiries and like things break, customer needs something like, and you got to drop everything to or have somebody in your company that can go work on that stuff, because like for me, but like just having one unit, maybe if I had a whole bunch of them and I could the focus could be, but it was just like, man, it was like relatively like it's making me very little money for this one thing, but it's taking like a disproportionate amount of my focus to try to mess with it just because it's new and there's like you understand, right?
Oh,
like, any new venture you go into is going to take a lot more time than you think. And
that's
I was like,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just like, wow, if I'm going to keep doing this, like I like the income, it's making me a lot of money, which is good. But like, I'm either going to have to get a manager or I'm going to, turn it into like a midterm or a long-term rental because and then thankfully these guys, they actually booked for a week on Airbnb. They're a group of workers that have like a 5-year contract. And I'm like the Airbnb. So I live in a duplex and it's like the other half of the duplex is what I converted. So
I've thought about that myself. You take the typical house hack burr method and make it an Airbnb. I love that idea. If I ever find a duplex, I'm going to try it 100%.
It worked really well. I mean, I was like, man, like I might as well do it. It's like Airbnb on training wheels. That's how I did my house hack. I was like, they're right there, like the problems are very accessible if anything happens. And but I got to talking to him and I'm like, hey, what's your guys' plan? Like, are you gonna, be here for a while? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna be here for 5 years. I'm like, well, do you guys just want to like stay here month to month? I'll just give you a fixed rate, and there's like 4 or 5 of them, right? And I think I charge them like $2,200 a month, utilities included, and it's like nothing per person, like it's a good deal for them, and they're just month to month on a vacation type of lease, but. That just kind of solved my problem. I'm like, great, I'm aggregating probably the, same amount of net income that I would get, maybe a little less, but I don't have to like think about it, right? They're just essentially a tenant.
Right.
But if I get another one, like we thought about properties that would be great for Airbnb, like smaller units and stuff that really don't, they just don't command very high long-term rent, turning those into, but I would definitely get a management company if you do any more, because
that's the whole reason we exist.
It's just not worth distracting yourself to go and do that.
Yeah, that's the whole reason that companies like my company exists, because it's so much work. It's not just like a long-term rental. You can't set it and forget it. It's actually the hospitality industry, right?
Exactly.
I have people, I had a lady want us to come bring her a corkscrew on Thanksgiving Day. And like, it's minor, it's just a thing, but like you have to be willing to do that. You have to, like, that's just part of Airbnb. If even if their requests are unreasonable, or it's kind of like you think it's stupid or whatever it is, if you want to be successful on Airbnb, you either have to be willing to do that or have somebody working with you, manager, assistant, or whatever, that's willing to do that. And it's 24/7 on call. Another thing that people don't think about is what happens if it's midnight and you're asleep and a $4,000 booking comes in. They're out. They're on Airbnb right that moment looking for a $4,000 stay. They're going to keep going until somebody accepts it, right? So you have people missing out on income and missing out on revenue because, I mean, who's willing to stay up till midnight answering messages on Airbnb?
Not many. Unless
you're getting paid to do it, right? So that's it. There's so much that goes into it. And that's one of the things I'm really trying to focus on, is kind of showing people, like we show people our value with how much money we make them.
Right.
But it's really hard to show people our value with how much we're doing behind the scenes every single day so that they don't have to.
Exactly. Yeah, and I would say even like because you're able to, you've got full-time effort, you got a team, I would assume of, VAs and people on the, answering these messages for clients and things like that. Like managed well, you're going to make a lot more money by, managing it more effectively, getting better reviews, being on top of it more than you would trying to, do it yourself.
100%. We've ran the numbers a few times, and when we compare our units to other units that aren't managed by our team, ours are generally making 35 to 40% more revenue than other units. Then now you take that, we're charging 20%. You're still making 20 to 30% more. I'll tell you something. So you kind of hit a point on the head there. I looked into the VA thing because a lot of people were doing the VAs because obviously it's cheaper, but I chose not to go that route, and I'm hoping that it's a good decision. It costs me more money, so my bottom line is a little bit less. But I hire locals. I hire locals for a couple reasons. For one, most of the VAs are like in the Philippines.
Sure.
So check-in time here is 4 p.m. So that's like 4 a.m. in the Philippines. So I mean, even if you have there's great VAs. There's great people doing a lot of work over there, but it's still 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
There's a good chance maybe they fell asleep or, something happened. I want my people we have a response rate of 10 minutes. We're responding in 10 minutes to every single message or less. If you're not, then you're rode up. So I don't want to count on, somebody that's should be asleep answering my guest messages. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, and it's kind of a hard subject to approach, but you have a lot of your issues will come from a more elderly segment of society. They'll have a hard time figuring out how to work a lock or how to get the keys out or how to put the code in or how to do this or how to do that. And there is a language barrier from times.
Right.
So we will have, if we had a VA, in whatever other country in the world, sometimes they have a hard time communicating with our older population that's traveling. That creates frustration, which also creates bad reviews, which leads to lost revenue. So that's one of my strategies is I hire local people that also have local insight and local knowledge that they can help with, for sure.
And they could probably provide a better local experience to the client.
Yeah, we always send everybody to Oklahoma Joe's if it's in Kansas City. They should be paying me for all the amount of people I've sent to them.
Yeah, you need to work out a referral deal with them.
Right?
That's great. So there's a few other managers in town. I've talked to a few of them. But like, why would, Airbnb is obviously very popular but what makes you different? Why would somebody go with you over another manager?
Right. That's a great question. And one of them is the VA situation that we just talked about. If you talk to those companies, most of those companies, if not all of them, have those VAs. And I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it doesn't work for the quality and the level that we're trying to deliver. And that generates more revenue, right? That also leads into our experience and our wisdom with it. We've been managing short-term rentals in Kansas City longer than any other manager, except for Lance Pierce. Lance Pierce with Carrot Vacation Rentals, great guy. I know him really well. Me and him talk a lot. We share ideas. We help each other out. He's great. He knows what he's doing too. I would wholeheartedly recommend him. Some of the other companies, though, they just started coming around when Airbnb became popular, and I hope they do great. I'm sure that they're learning and everything, but I can tell you from my experience, it took me a long time to learn how to be as good as I am in short-term rentals. So my advice to anybody that wants to get into short-term rentals, you obviously want to go with the team that's going to make you the most revenue. And in this market, with how saturated it is, on top of the regulations and everything else going down, for me, I don't think I would put my money with somebody that's just been doing this for a year or two. I would make sure that I was working with somebody that's got the experience that I'm looking for to generate the amount of revenue, because these things are a huge investment. I mean, we're talking about a $200,000-$300,000 house, $30,000 in furniture, monthly utilities, monthly bills. That's a large investment. For myself, I would rather put it in a team's hands that has the reputation, has the experience, has the wisdom, knows what they're doing, has the software, all of that. I'd put it in their hands. I can also tell you that my competitors aren't using, I'm sure they use some of the software that we use, but we do use a lot more software and the top rated software in the system. We use Guesty for our management software. That allows us to communicate to all platforms from one space. It allows us to have a direct booking website, which we have. That saves money because we're not paying Airbnb's fees. We put marketing materials in all of our units to encourage our guests on their next stay to book directly with us. So that makes our clients more money. Then we also list on Airbnb, VRBO, and our direct booking website. We use Price Labs. So Price Labs, I'm not sure in your experience if you use Price Labs or not.
I've heard of it, but I've never used it.
Price Labs is awesome because here's how Price Labs works in a nutshell. Price Labs will go in and say, all right, what's the lowest you ever want your unit to list for? And then if you want to put an upper range, you can. We don't put an upper range because we want to limit how much it can make, right? So, but if you put the lowest in there and then you put the median in there, it helps it kind of narrow down where it's trying to go, right? So then Price Labs will automatically keep in sync with all of the other units in the area, every other short-term rental. If we have a Taylor Swift concert coming to town or a Chiefs playoff game or any of that stuff, or if it's the slow season and there's nobody traveling, Price Labs is going to automatically adjust that price to get you where you need to be so that you can make the most amount of money when there's a high demand, and then so that you can still make money when there's a really low demand. So Price Labs is fantastic. We've been using it for a long time. I don't think there's another one called Wheelhouse and a couple other ones, but I really believe that Price Labs is the best software. It'll even let us go out and put like incentives to get people to book. So like if you book 7 months out, you get this discount. And then as it gets closer to the date, the price goes up, but then it hits a point where we're within 3 or 4 days of that date and there's still no booking, boom, discount. Boom, discount, because we're trying to push people to book it, right? It's amazing. So we use those. Here's one that I know my competitors aren't using. We use a phone system called Alloware. And we use Alloware because Alloware records all of our conversations that we have with our guests. It also timestamps when they called, where they called from, which one of our staff member answered it, when they answered it, so that we can hold them accountable and make sure they're hitting the metrics they want to hit. But the biggest thing for that is this. With Airbnb, specifically lately, there's been a lot of people that are trying to figure out how to scam Airbnb because they know that your bookings, your ratings, and your position in the algorithm is based off of your reviews, right? So let's say I'm a traveler and you have an Airbnb. If I'm a savvy traveler, I'm going to hit you up on my second day there and be like, hey, this place wasn't clean or this or that or whatever thing I'm going to pick up, I'm going to need a discount. Or I'm going to leave you a bad review. So they get away with it all the time because people are scared, rightfully so, of my review. Because if I leave a bad review, you're going to get a lower rating, which means you're going to make less money. So the thing is, Airbnb has an anti-extortion policy. So with us recording our phone calls, guess who reports that when they try, and then the review gets removed?
Yeah, you get
our clients and make them more revenue, right? It's just things like that. It's our experience and our wisdom and how we know how to do things. And then us having staff that's available 24/7. I have clients that come to me from other managers in the city all the time, and they'll say stuff like, oh, the review says that nobody responded to them for 3 hours, or they couldn't get this, or they didn't have enough pillows or blankets or whatever. You'll never see that with us. You'll never see that with us. And I promise my clients that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, if I might chime in, I had an experience like that just very early on. A guest, they booked my place for like a Saturday night, Sunday night, right? Leave on Monday. And they came and, they had reviews, right? And he came and then stayed Saturday night. And on Sunday, he like reports a gas leak. And, and I'm like, there's no gas leak.
Right.
And then he gets it for free, right? He gets refunded and the whole booking. And I think I had a 2-night minimum at the time, right? So like he gets it all for free. And then they shut down my listing until I can, prove there's not a gas leak, right? And so I'm like, what the heck? And so like I have the plumber out there, I have the gas company. There's no leak. Right. And then like thankfully they, I sent that all to them, and after like a week it reinstated me, but and then they refunded me. They gave me the money too, but it shut my listing down for like a week. Nobody could even book it.
Not only that, but how much money did it cost you in time that you had to spend jacking with it?
Tons of time and energy and focus to try to mess with that, and just all because somebody wants to get a free stay. And it's
happens
just ridiculous
all the time. They do. It's not. It didn't used to be as prevalent as it is, but it's very prevalent now. I swear, I look for it all the time. I'm sure there's a Facebook group out there, how to scam Airbnb. I'm sure there is. I'm sure, because it's just the same shit or same stuff every single time, man. Every time they try it. You got to watch out for all kinds of stuff too. Like we had a listing in Largo, Florida, where it was, an African American family that had stayed there. We don't know for sure. We can't prove anything, but they were reported for doing illegal activities and having a party. We have cameras. There was no parties. There was nothing crazy going on. We monitored and watched the whole thing. But one of the neighbors, which my cleaner, who's Hispanic down there, said that the neighbor stands out in his yard and looks at them and watches them and all of that. That's something that happens, But they reported them to Airbnb, that African American family, and Airbnb shut down that listing. For a week, just instantly. Didn't say nothing to us. Deleted that person's profile on Airbnb. They did a bunch of stuff, and that's really put my owner in a bad position, because obviously in Florida their mortgage is really high. They got a lot of bills to pay, right? So now nobody can book their place. Canceled all of the bookings they had on their calendar. Just completely screwed them. But luckily, and really, I'm not trying to like promo myself, but like, because we had our systems in place, because we knew what we were doing, because we had our cameras, because we had our recorded phone lines, because we had everything we were supposed to have, we got our client's unit back up in 3 days. And it was no problem at all, other than just us dealing with Airbnb. Now, imagine that you're an owner that doesn't have that experience and doesn't quite understand how to do all that yet. Who knows if you'll ever get your unit back up? That's one of the things.
Yeah, right. And that's one thing about having a manager is, like, for me, I got in that situation. I'm like, freaking out. Like, I have no idea how to handle this, but somebody that's doing this, all the time, every day, like, it's like, okay, systemized, easy. And then you're going to save all that extra money and time, effort, and energy by having somebody that's just doing this all the time.
Yeah, our team knows what to do in any situation. There's very rarely a situation that we don't know how to handle. One of the cool things for me is, as of Christmas Day, I found out that I was diabetic. I didn't know that I was diabetic. Right. I knew that I was overweight. I knew that I, had bad habits about working 24/7 and not eating healthy and all that. And I knew I didn't feel great. But I found out I was diabetic. My blood sugar was over 500, which could have killed me. It was a really bad spot to be in. But I tell you all that because the great thing is, I've been working on my business every day, nonstop for the last, on the Airbnb side, 2 years. And I was always scared to kind of let go and let my team handle it, because I'm always scared that I'm not going to provide the product that I promised to provide to my clients, right? So like, even though my team's good, I'm always like, let me just make sure they're doing it, right? But on Christmas Day, when I found all that out, part of it was stress. So I had to take a step back, and I had to say, all right, my team knows what to do. They know how to handle this. They can reach out to me if there's a problem that they can't handle. And it's really great. And it makes me feel really good to see that since Christmas Day, I have not worked a day in my business on the Airbnb side, except for going in on Fridays and going over KPIs and making sure that everything's going on. And my team has been able to handle it with no problems. Everything's been running the way that it's always ran. And that's really great. Like, I can't tell you how appreciative I am that my team is able to run my business so that I can focus on getting myself healthy again.
Yeah, that's really hard to do. I mean, that's a testament to the systems that you've created and the just the standards, and the systems. Because I mean, I've helped build up a business, to 20 people, but even to break past, to where you're really like to build a real business where you can, as the owner, step back, takes a lot of work and very good team members and standards to build those systems out, build those processes, that culture, to where they can systematically, provide a great experience to the client.
It's tough, man. The hardest part is walking away and just letting them do it. Because, I heard, I think it was Elon Musk or somebody made a quote the other day that said, like, owning a business is like something along the lines.
It's staring into the abyss and chewing broken glass.
That's what it is. Every day I wake up like, shit, is my business going to fail? You know what I mean? So, like, I've always been scared to let them do it, but it's been really eye-opening and kind of great for everybody, and myself included, to know that my team can handle it. And that's why you'll see, I don't know if you saw, but like, I bought a flip house again the other day, and I'm focusing on what my goals and aspirations are, for my own personal thing, my own personal business in life. So, and my team is handling the company in the background.
Right. That's good. That's good. So if somebody wanted to work with you, how could they do that? And where is your scope of where you'll manage stuff and where you'll work?
Yeah. So the first answer is we'll work anywhere. We manage in currently we're in Arizona, Texas, Tennessee, Kansas, Missouri, Georgia, Delaware, and Florida. Okay. But we have the ability to manage in any state because with Airbnb, half of it is answering messages, doing everything online, which we do with our local staff here in Kansas City. But then whenever we move into a new market, which all of those states that I listed off are new markets that we moved into, what we do is we go and we find local cleaners and local maintenance people that already work for owners that have Airbnbs. They have the experience. They know what's expected. They know that like when something happens, you have to go right over. We go and we make connections with them. We tell them what we do. We introduce them to our team, and then we hire them to work for us in those markets. So the short answer is we can operate and we will operate in any market in the continental United States. Hopefully overseas one day. That'd be really cool. Yeah. But if somebody wants to reach out to us, there's several different ways they can reach out to us. They can go to our website, which is bearbnbkc.com. Or they can email us at sales@bearbnbkc.com, or they can just reach out directly to me. I'm on all the socials, Facebook and Instagram, TikTok. I like TikTok. It's fun. It is fun. But yeah, just reach out to us and we'll do everything we can to help you. That's great. Yeah, guys, go check them out if you want to get into, get your Airbnb going. Appreciate that. Tyler's a great guy to go to. One last question I had for those, and this is, my partner has kind of struggled with this, and I know other people that I've talked to at my meetups and things, is that like with the regulations that are coming in, I think there's a big, the boogeyman of Airbnb regulations. I think it, inhibits people from turning their property into an Airbnb or opening a new one up because they're worried it's going to get shut down, right? So like, how do you navigate that? So there's a lot that goes into this answer, but I'm going to try to keep it clear and concise and short for you. But in short, in Kansas City, Kansas, there's a young lady by the name of Callie McLaughlin. She works on the Wyandotte County Board for Permits. She's the one that makes the permits. I have a relationship with her. I know her very well. She's very open to talking to anybody that has an Airbnb. She wants to help us all get our Airbnbs permitted and all of that. She's great as long as you jump through their hoops, because it's a city and all that. But if you do what they want you to do, she'll help you get permitted in KCK. Shouldn't be a problem at all. In Kansas City, it's tough because here's what happened. Airbnbs weren't all that popular in Kansas City, and then all of a sudden they got really popular and everybody got them. But a lot of people jumped into the Airbnb sector and they didn't know what they were doing. They weren't managing them properly. They were allowing one night stays on Fridays and Saturdays to locals that are 19 and 20 years old. They were allowing all kinds of crazy stuff to happen. And of course the neighbors got mad, right? I'd be mad too. Like if somebody was throwing a party every weekend at the house next door to mine, like I'd be pissed off, right? So that happened. And then you had the out-of-state investors and it just wasn't being done the right way. And I don't really think that's anybody's fault. It's a new endeavor. It's a new market. Like Wild West. Right. I say that all the time. It's like the Wild West. Nobody exactly knows the right way to do it. And everybody's trying to do it for as cheap as they can and save as much money and then make as much money. And sometimes, like I tell my clients, it's not about making all the money, but preserving that long-term cash flow. Right. You might make $500 for renting it out this Saturday night to this 19-year-old, but like, you don't know what's going to happen. You might get your unit. Yeah. They can report you. Right. So that's so that's what happened. So that's why Kansas City is being so hard on Airbnbs right now, and they're trying to do all the regulations and all of that. But again, Lance Pierce, the guy, my mic is there. We go. Lance Pierce, the guy from Carrot Vacation Rental Management, he knows Mayor Lucas, and me and him have had a couple meetings with them because they have a relationship to where he can talk to them. Right. But basically, what the city is looking to do is get them permitted, assign them like a number. To represent the unit, and then give the community a place to call and make complaints and report things that are going on the wrong way or any of that, right? So what we're pushing for is, yes, absolutely, I agree 100%. I'm on board with that. Let's get them all permitted. Let's give people a place that they can report the bad actors, and let's get those bad actors out of here because they're giving the entire industry a black eye, and it's costing, it's hurting the industry. On top of that, there's currently 1,800 Airbnbs in Kansas City. Once those regulations all go through and all of this happens, which I think is going to happen over this year, coupled with the people that got into it and they're losing money because they bought cheap furniture, they didn't know how to do it, all of those people are going to get out of it. plus the people that can't meet the requirements, the people that made their neighbors mad, can't get their neighbors to sign off on their Airbnb, because that's one of the requirements in Kansas City. Your direct neighbors have to sign off on your Airbnb. That's one of the things we're trying to get the city to take out of the new code when they make it, but we'll see if that happens.
Sure.
But those people that upset their neighbors, they can't get the signatures, and then the people that are losing money, they're all going to get out of Airbnb. They're going to go back to long terms, or they're going to flip the house, or they're going to do whatever. Once that happens, I think we're going to go from 1,800 Airbnbs to like 600 or 700 in the Kansas City metro, because there's a lot that aren't making money. You see them every day on Facebook selling all their furniture. Then
that's true. There's a lot of people getting out. Right.
And then all of the people that refuse to, because the permitting process and regulations are hard to do. You have to put time and effort into it. But once all those are gone, the people that did it right, they got their stuff permitted, they got their neighbor's approval, everybody's happy with it. I think those people are going to start making a lot of money again, because Airbnb used to it still makes good money, but they used to make a lot more money than they're making now before it got oversaturated. So with all of that being said, what I would recommend anybody that's in the Kansas City metro area that's looking to get into short-term rentals, anywhere in Johnson County, Overland Park, anywhere along the I-35 corridor, Blue Springs, Lee Summit, the Northland, those are all fantastic areas. They make the most money. They have the least amount of regulation. In Overland Park, it just has to be registered as a regular rental. It's a 10-minute process online. And Overland Park is our best performing area, believe it or not. So a lot of people think that, it needs to be downtown, near Westport, near all the attractions. It's not the case. There's a lot of stuff. I always tell everybody this story because I think it helps illustrate what I'm trying to get at. But I had somebody that stayed at one of my places for 2 months for $5,000 a month because they were here for quilting convention in Overland Park, right? Overland Park has all the convention centers. It has the families that come back. There's a lot of people traveling to Kansas City for stuff that we don't even know about. Conventions and softball games and volleyball tournaments, all kinds of stuff. So it's a really easy answer for me whenever somebody asks me, like, who's coming to Kansas City for vacation? Nobody. They're not coming here for vacation. They're coming here for other stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I would definitely recommend anywhere in Overland Park, and 3-bedroom, 2-bath and up. That's what you're looking for, because with Airbnb, the main draw of it is let's say that you and my family are going to travel together to go to a thing, right? We don't want to rent a hotel room, or we're going to have 4 different hotel rooms if there's 10 of us. We're going to rent an Airbnb that has 3 or 4 bedrooms. And then when you rent that, we're all in that one space, we're splitting that cost. And then the next most important thing is to make sure you have at least 2 bathrooms, because all 10 of us don't want to share the same bathroom every morning when we're trying to get ready. Right.
So you would actually do a bigger unit opposed to a smaller unit.
The smaller units don't work, unfortunately.
Really?
They don't make enough. I mean, let me take that back a little bit. It depends on what your strategy is and how much you need to make. But those smaller units, 1 and 2 bedroom, they're going to make $2,500 to $3,500 a month on average.
Yep, seems pretty accurate.
Anything 3 to 4 bedroom is going to make, in the busy season, not the slow season. In the busy season, 3 to 4 bedroom are going to make anywhere between $4,000 and $7,000 a month.
Wow.
And then if you have 5+ bedrooms, you're looking at 15 or 16,000. I have 2 mansions that make about 15 to 16K every single month.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The bigger houses 100% do better on short-term rentals. And that's one of the things you'll see too. If you really look at it, all of the people that are getting out of it, smaller houses.
Yeah, because I mean, the cost, like the cleaning, the cost per stay is probably a lot more than a hotel, of a comparable size. I mean, that would probably be the big reason, but yeah, I could see for the families. I mean, it just makes sense from a cost perspective.
Absolutely.
Right out the door.
Yeah. Like we get a lot of like people that are coming here for volleyball tournaments and softball tournaments, and it's 2 families traveling together. They're paying $300 or $400 a night. It's $200 a family. Right. It's a lot easier for them to eat that. But then you have like somebody that's just like a business traveler, or like maybe me and you are going to a convention in Chicago. Yeah. I'm not going to pay $250 a night to stay at this house, right?
No.
I mean, I probably would, because I don't like hotels, but most people wouldn't.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, once again, where can people find you? If they've watched this and they want to reach out to you and inquire and see what you can do for them.
Yeah. So always, we're at airbnbkc.com. That's one of our websites. We also have brownbearkc.com, which is our big website that has all of our businesses on it: our furnishing and staging company, our remodel and maintenance company, our investing division, and our short-term rental management division. And then we have sales at airbnbkc.com and info at brownbearkc.com. Or you can always just find me on any of the social medias.
Okay. And what are you under, Brown Bear or Tyler Shirk?
Yeah, so my personal one is Tyler Shirk, and then Brown Bear Property Solutions is one of my Facebook pages. Bear Necessities, Home Furnishing, Staging, and Design is another one. Airbnb Short-Term Rental Management is another one, and then Brown Bear KC Real Estate Services is another one.
So they can go to you from their full down to the studs house to the beautiful, fully rented, fully booked Airbnb experience.
Yeah, that's kind of what that was what I set out to do, because when I first started being an investor as a wholesaler, I got a contractor to come in and he gave me a price, and I was like, well, shoot, I should be doing that part too. And then it just kind of kept multiplying. I'm a very opportunistic person. Like, I'll take and see something and say, why would I pay that person to do it when I could just get my guys to come do it? So I wanted to build a one-stop shop, and we're not there yet. We still have stuff to figure out. We still have systems to put in place and ways to do it, and we can always get better.
Of course.
But most of my clients are out-of-state investors that I have a client in Las Vegas, a great guy named Jason Griggs. He does a lot of business. I love working with him. He's bought 2 houses so far. He'll buy it and he'll hit me up and he'll say, Tyler, go remodel this house, furnish it, make it an Airbnb, send me a check every month. I'll go out there, I'll look at it, I'll be like, oh, this much to remodel it, this much to furnish it, and then I'll send you a management bill every month. And then I send him those invoices, he pays them, we remodel the house, we furnish it, and then he's got an Airbnb. It's just amazing working with him, because it gets rid of a lot of the stuff that slows down the process, and for him, it frees him up to work on what he wants to work on. He's not calling us every day like, what's the progress report? He just knows that we're going to do what we say we're going to do, and those are the kind of clients that I'm looking for.
Absolutely, and especially when you're making money on every end, like, you're going to remodel the house really well because you need it really done well to make money as an Airbnb, you know. So
I always say, so you remember when the Royals won the World Series? Yeah. Remember how they kept saying, just keep the bases moving? Yeah. That's kind of my motto. Like, I'm not trying to hit anybody over the head and make a ton of money on each individual portion of it. Like, I'm not going to come in with a super high bid for remodel or any of that, because I want to make money on every single base around the diamond, right? So my margins are a lot. So like, you know, if this contractor is at 50K, I'm at 40K, because I want to make a smaller margin on this one so that I can make it on the next one and the next one and the next one. I want to keep you in my sphere so that we can keep working together. I don't want to just, I'm not looking for that home run. I'm looking for that single every single time.
100%. Well, awesome. Well, that's a great place to stop. All of his contact information will be in the description below this video. Go check him out there. Great guy. Thank you for coming on, Tyler. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dan, man. This was pretty cool for my first one. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe, guys.